Despite the fact that TVs can feel like they're a dime a dozen and there are so many different models and sizes to choose from, there's a lot that goes into picking what's right for you. Honestly, that's a big reason why there are so many different options to choose from now. Everyone has different wants and needs. Still, there are always going to be some that stand above the rest, and that's what we're going to run down in today's video, featuring the best TVs you can buy. And look, there are a lot of ways to approach this, but we're going to do it in 3 categories: budget, mid-tier, and best of the best. And we're going to primarily use 65-inch TVs as the reference point. So let's not waste any more time. For budget models, we're talking about TVs under $1,000, and specifically TVs in the 65-inch size that are regularly at or around that mark. And we've got to start with the best OLED at this price point, the LG B5. 1, because the budget OLED category is pretty depleted, and 2, because it is a really solid TV for the price. I've recommended it up and down our US series this year because of the sheer fact that you're able to get all the advantages of OLED at a price that doesn't break the bank. And it's a premium TV, from its 4 HDMI 2.1 ports to being able to support Wi-Fi 6E. The LG B5 can straight up fill a lot of needs: fast refresh rates for gaming, solid HDR performance and Dolby Vision support for movies and shows, a thin profile, great motion handling, and excellent performance when viewing from a wide angle, making it solid for sports. It's just hard to go wrong here unless you just need something brighter. The only competition could be Samsung's S85F, but even on sale at $1,100, it doesn't quite make the budget category, and there's better to be had on the mid-tier list of TVs, so stay tuned. For the best budget mini LED, I'm going to say TCL's QM7K. It's a significant step up from the QM6K, but not as pricey as the QM8K. It's comfortably in the middle, as its model number suggests. If you're wondering why you spend the extra money over the QM6K, it's for improved brightness and contrast, which in turn helps HDR performance. Now, before we move on to the mid-tier list, I do need to say, because I know you'll ask, this budget list is short because we want to bring you what we think is the best TV in the category. Spoiler alert, while the Hisense U8QG does get a mention soon, the U65QF and U75QG, while being excellent TVs for the price, just aren't going to top the QM7K. And again, a reminder, I'm referencing 65-inch TVs here. The ones I mentioned so far are pushing that $1,000 price tag, and we know not everyone wants to or can spend that much. So take some of these same models down to, say, 55 inches and you can save some money. I think you can also save money if you play the waiting game into 2026. As the newer models get announced, there are more sales to be had. All right, now to the next section of this list where we've got a few more options. And let's start with the Hisense U8QG that I just talked about a little bit. This TV continues to see some incredible discounts. As I'm recording this video, it's on sale for just under $1,100 brand new. So actually, it almost made the budget section and would have easily been the best. As usual with Hisense, the U8 punches well above its class. Being a mini LED TV, brightness is going to be one of its calling cards, and it doesn't disappoint. That makes the U8QG an excellent choice for rooms with lots of ambient light or sunshine pushing through windows. While its contrast comes up a little bit short of OLED levels, it does still hold its own as one of the best in class, certainly among mini LED TVs. It's just one of those TVs that, if you did want to save a few $100s and put it toward an audio system or other accessories, you could do that and be just as happy as you would be with some of the other mini LED TV options on the list. Now, if you don't mind spending the extra dollars, the TCL QM8K is another great one, and as usual, it goes punch for punch with the U8 series. A lot of what I said about that TV applies to the QM8K as well, and some even rate it as better due to its deeper blacks and better contrast. However, one thing I found the U8 didn't do well, and I'd say the same about the QM8K, is handle reflections. But keep in mind, I was filming here in an office setting where there are lots of windows and doors and lamps and lights and things around. Certainly, if you're in a more dedicated viewing space, the U8QG and QM8K would be less prone to picking up those reflections. Not to mention, it's really only a thing on dark scenes. Most of the time, these TVs are more than bright enough to overpower any other lights around. Another thing I'll say about both of those TVs, they've really caught up to what Samsung offers in a lot of ways. Looking at the QN90F, another one of the best mid-tier mini LED options this year, and probably starting to push in that best of the best category. The competition is stiff, but there are some key differences that may push you towards Samsung. The most glaring is anti-glare. Instead of the glossy finish of years past, Samsung applied the same anti-glare finish to its premier mini LED TVs as it has to its best OLED. For the most part, you really won't notice it, and that's by design. It's meant to give you the same dazzling picture quality as any glossy screen, but when there is light that could cause reflections, the screen spreads it out to avoid being a direct reflection that's more distracting. In practice, it works, but there will still be instances where you may notice. I don't find it bothersome, but it's also not for everyone. Samsung also sets itself apart with its Tizen operating system, a departure from Google TV that we see on the options mentioned earlier in the list. And while Samsung TVs don't support Dolby Vision and won't support the upcoming Dolby Vision 2 format either, they did just announce HDR10 Plus Advanced, and Amazon Prime Video is already on board. But that's a topic for another day. Moving on to OLED, the two that stand out in this mid-tier $1,500 to $2,000-ish range are from Samsung and LG, the S90F and C5. And to be honest, they're probably all the TV that most folks need. I think if you could sit people down in front of either of these TVs, blind to what brand or model it is, the common takeaway would be awesome picture quality. They're bright, the colors look rich, the contrast is perfect with true black levels. It's everything you could ask for in an OLED TV. If you put them side by side, sure, maybe you do notice a more colorful display on the Samsung with a QD-OLED panel at 55, 65, and 77 inches. But my point here is, this is probably where you find the best bang for your buck and satisfaction, unless you're going for the best of the best. And in the case of the Samsung S90F, maybe you prefer it over the S95F and its anti-glare screen. The S90 is going to give you the best OLED picture quality with a glossy screen that Samsung has available. In fact, let's go there next with the Samsung S95F as we enter the best of the best section, because I don't want you to think that the differences between the two TVs just come down to glossy versus matte screen finish. The S95F is the better, brighter TV, especially for SDR viewing. It also comes with a One Connect box, which can force you to be a little creative with your setup sometimes, but overall, it adds convenience being able to plug your external devices into that and run one wire to the TV instead of needing to plug several different devices into the TV itself. And that can be a big deal for some people. Think if your Blu-ray player, game console, soundbar, streaming device, most of which need to be powered, are all wired into the TV. The scene behind the TV stand or media console becomes an absolute mess. The One Connect box can at least help you confine those wires into one place and be a little more organized. Still, like we touched on earlier, it seems most people remain divided on the anti-glare screen. So if you want to see more of that in action, we've got a video that we did comparing the Samsung matte finish to the glossy finish on the LG G4, and it's worth your time to see if the differences between the two types of screen really matter to you. Two different Sony TVs are up next, both incredible in terms of picture processing and quality. The Bravia 8 Mark II, one of the best releases of 2025, and the Sony A95L of 2023? Well, yes, and I'll explain the A95L in a second. But starting with the Bravia 8 Mark II, it's technically the QD-OLED successor to the A95L, not to be confused with the Bravia 8 Mark I that felt like more of a placeholder in 2024, just so Sony could have a new OLED in the lineup. The Bravia 8 Mark II is everything you'd expect it to be as Sony's best. If you're building out a dedicated home theater and place the most emphasis on picture quality, this is the TV for you. And I say that partially because one of the places it comes up short is SDR brightness, where the competition from Samsung and LG, which we'll talk about more in a minute, are brighter. Still, there's no denying how good this TV is. And if you're a fan of what Sony's done with their OLEDs in the past and you're in the market, you will not be disappointed. But what about the A95L? Well, I mention it just because it's still such a solid TV, and the Bravia 8 Mark II doesn't sell in a size larger than 65 inches. So if it's an even bigger, near perfect Sony OLED TV that you want at 77 inches instead, the A95L is gonna be it. Up next, LG's G5, which probably took the biggest leap past its predecessor than any other TV on this list. It's notably more colorful and brighter than the G4, which was already an amazing TV. LG did decide to, once again, not include a stand with the 65-inch model, instead giving you a wall mount. It is technically their Gallery Series TV that, by design, is a slim build, perfect for wall mounting. But if this is a TV that you've had your eye on, I wouldn't let that stop you from pulling the trigger. Whether you're in a dark or bright room, the G5 has what it takes to make viewing sports, movies, shows, anything a real pleasure. Finally, back to Sony and the TV that they consider their flagship, the Bravia 9. It's at the top of the totem pole because of the spectacular technology put into its backlight system. With its best-in-class local dimming, it's going to be the closest you get to OLED precision in a mini LED TV. And because it's a mini LED TV, it has the potential to be incredibly bright, way brighter than you need it to be in most cases. All of that combined means it's a great TV for dark rooms, though OLED will still be a little bit better, but it's the best TV for bright rooms because of how it can power through reflections and glare. Even off-angle viewing, the usual setback for LED TVs, is well above average. I think if you've got the money and you want a TV that's sure to overcome whatever deficiencies your viewing environment may have, it's the safest pick and one of the best around. Now, I gotta know, did I leave anything out? There are so many to choose from, like we talked about, and maybe I did leave something out. What else would make your list? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video. Elevate your smartphone with the Digital Trends app bundle. 17 premium apps in one plan. From productivity to entertainment, it's all here. Start your free trial today by clicking the link in the description.